Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. Happy New Year, everybody. As you can probably see and hear, I am sick. I started 2023 with a nasty flu like many of us did. I really thought I could get better until I filmed this video, but now it's so last minute. I need to film this so this can go out on Monday, so bear with my voice. I'm gonna try to get through this. Luckily, today is time for the next Q&A, so I didn't have to prepare anything, which is perfect today. So let's just take it easy. I have my tea here and answer some questions. As always, I took these questions from the last Q&A, so if you would like to be involved in the next one, which will be in March, make sure to ask your questions down below and I will make sure to answer them. Let's get into it with question number 1. Doug Trat asks, do I need to move to a bigger city in order to get clients? Interesting questions. I'm not sure where this came from. Absolutely not. You do not need to move to a bigger city. It's interesting. Many people, when I say that I live in Brussels, they immediately ask me, oh, so you work for the institutions in Brussels, for the EU and stuff. I do not, and I don't really want to, but the great thing about our profession is that we don't need to move to a place just to work for them, right? If you're an interpreter, that's a bit different. If you're interpreting for the EU, you should preferably live here. I think it's even a requirement that you live here. But as a translator, you don't need to. So definitely, you don't need to move to a bigger city. In fact, you can probably it makes sense to move to a smaller city so you can save some on money because you can make the same salary whether you live in the city or not. Anna Gorbunov asks, does it matter what language pair you have depending on a specialty? Let's say German is more in demand in IT and Russian in medicine. Wonderful question that I can never definitely answer, of course, because I do not have the knowledge of all what is in demand in the language pairs, right? I actually make a video, I just written it recently because I couldn't film. I've written a lot of videos, so I have like 6 scripts ready that I can film once I'm healthy. So stay tuned for very interesting videos. And one will be about the top language pairs in demand in 2023. So there I can tell you something about, but whether it matters in terms of language, I really don't think so. Maybe in some like very specific categories, let's say, I don't know, if you're really into artisanal pasta making, that's probably most popular in Italy, right? So maybe in that case you can, with Italian in your language pair, you have a better chance there. But in general, I don't think it matters, or definitely that should not be in your mind, right? You have your language pair probably depending on what you grew up with, what you learned in school, and then so you don't really have much choice there, right? You play with what you're dealt. And then the specialty, there you have a choice. So just make sure you find the right balance between what you like, what you're capable of, but don't think too much about what is in demand in which language pair. That doesn't make sense. Saulecha asks, hi Adrian, wanted to ask you how long did it take? How did you learn your third language? I know Swiss have quite a few languages circling around. Still, as a first year translation student, I sometimes get overwhelmed with the hope to learn a new language, not English. I also started questioning maybe one cannot become a good translator if she has not studied it properly in university. For instance, if I hope to translate from German, perhaps I need a master's in German. Would love to hear your thoughts on that. A couple of questions in there, thanks very much. No, you do not need a master's in German if you want to translate from German. Absolutely not, right? Your source language is sometimes, the knowledge of your source language can be a bit overrated in the industry. You do not need to be a master in German to translate from German. I always tell people the minimum that you need to translate from a language is a B1 degree. If you know about the B1, like I don't even know if that's European or international anyways. If you have a B1 in your source language, that's sufficient. B2 is preferable, but definitely not a master's. I do agree with you that it can be overwhelming when you hope to learn a new language and then to work with it, because the languages that I've learned after my school was Dutch and Hungarian, and I could never imagine to actually use these as working languages, right? Because there is something inherent that when you learn a language as a kid, it becomes much more influential in your day-to-day knowledge of it, in your cultural knowledge as well. So I can't even imagine learning a language as an adult and then working with it as a working language. People do it, of course. I'm not saying it's not possible. Just for me, I can't imagine it. I learned, my first language that I learned was Swiss German, so that's my native language. And then just from TVs and in school, you also learn High German, right? Just every kid in Switzerland also knows how to speak High German from videos, from TV, from games and stuff. And then in school, your first foreign language is French. So I started learning French by the age of, I don't even know, probably in 3rd grade. So like maybe by the age of 9 or something. And then English, I started learning in the higher education, in secondary school, when I was a teenager. Now they changed it around. Now they start learning English much earlier, which makes sense in my opinion. But so I learned all my working languages in school very early on. That's why I'm comfortable speaking and writing in them. And I don't think I will add anytime soon or even ever any working languages to my repertoire. Alessia Castello asks a question that is kind of related to that. Hi Adrian, this video was very helpful. Thank you. In your opinion, is it necessary or just useful to live for a period in the countries of your source language? Necessary or just useful? It's not necessary, but it's definitely useful. So if that's the two answers you want to go for, it's not necessary. You don't need to do that. I did it both. I spent 1 year in the French part of Switzerland, and I went to a commercial school there and just learned like accounting and maths and everything in French. Literally everything was in French. Even the English class was in French, funny enough. And then I also spent a summer before university in Bordeaux in France, where I went to a language school. And before I started my translation studies, I just wanted to go to, take some of the fear away to speak French. So I went for 6 weeks. Of course, it was a lot of, partying and English speaking and in my free time. But in school, I spoke a lot of French, and it helped me definitely to get in the mindset. In terms of English, I spent half a year in Dublin, in Ireland, but even before that, my English was already sufficient, but it did still help me, and I have a lot of international friends now that I speak English with, and also in my relationship we speak English, so English has become my second native language in a way, but I still would never translate into English because there are still so many idioms, many cultural things that I just can't translate properly like a native can, and that's why I always promote to only translate into your native language. So no, not necessary, but definitely useful because you learn so much about the people, about the culture. Stargirl asks, new subscriber here. Thank you very much. Welcome. I love your channel. Quick question. I have a BA in linguistics and considering changing from teaching to translation. Should I pursue a second BA in translation, or will a university certificate in translation be sufficient, since linguistics is kind of related? Linguistics is definitely related. I don't think you need a second university degree. I would go for a certificate in translation because you already have a teaching degree. Oh no, you have in linguistics. Okay, that's definitely enough. You don't need more than that. If you tell an agency you have a BA in linguistics, that will be enough. So I would go for a certificate in translation. I made a video on certain certificates. You can click here if you're interested. That should be enough for you. So I would not spend the money and the time to go to the university again just for translation. You can make that switch in an easier way. Carlos G. de la Morena asks, and that's kind of a misunderstanding in here, I just included this to make sure. Hi Adrian, I'm a Spanish native speaker from Spain. I'm trying to get some jobs from Chinese and English to Spanish. It seems you do the opposite. This is translating from your mother tongue to other languages. I'd feel more comfortable the other way around. What's your take on this? I mentioned this before. I don't know where Carlos got this idea. I do not translate from my mother tongue in other languages. That's just a misunderstanding. I wanted to make this clear. I only translate into German, into Swiss German if it's needed, and not the other way around. And I strongly discourage people doing it unless you are actually bilingual and you consider two languages the same level for yourself, the same level of native language. or you have like a specific language combination where you're maybe one of the only ones that does translating into English from a specific, I don't know, a rare dead language, for example, then it makes sense. And the last question from Jesus Gonzalez. Thanks for providing a chance to ask questions for your Q&A. Of course, always. Here's mine. I like to use machine translation in most of my projects and post-edit them to save time. But I realize the use of free machine translation services is frowned upon by the industry because of confidentiality reasons, correct? Do you think using a paid version of these services makes it okay since they claim the data is never shared? It definitely makes it more okay, yes. I also use it sometimes. I have a paid version of a service. I would definitely urge you to get the paid version. If you like to do this on a regular basis, please do get a paid version. It's not good to go for a free version, not only for confidentiality issues, but also you don't know what's going to happen with your data, right? You're going to train a module that you don't necessarily want your data to be trained with. So definitely read the fine print of the service that you buy and go for a paid version. But even then still, you should let your clients know if you do that, right? Many clients do not want their data being run through a machine translation. Even though the company claims that the data is not being shared, but you're still giving data from your clients away to a third party. I would still advise you to tell them of your workflow, even though I've just had a conversation recently at the forum of a person saying, why would I disclose that? Translators have always been tasked with translating to the best of their ability, to the best of their knowledge with the tools available. So machine translation post-editing is nothing more than the new form of translation because you're just using a tool to translate the text. So it was interesting that he said, why would this be considered another service? It's just another way of translating. Same as before it was with paper, now it's with computers, with CAD tools. So there is maybe a new shift coming, and I'm planning a very interesting video about the latest developments in AI. I've been doing a lot of research on this, so this will come out soon. I still let my clients know if I use machine translation and I do post-editing. I just don't feel comfortable in, or if you just go get the inspiration, or if you just do a few sentences, then it's fine. But I mean, if you run the whole text through a system, then I would still let the client know. And definitely go for the paid service. That's a guarantee. There you go. My voice is almost done. I go back to bed. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please excuse my voice. I hope next Monday it will be better. I have so much content planned already until May. I have my schedule checked and I have a lot of collaborations planned as well. I hope this year goes well for you. If you're planning to start your journey in 2023, next Monday's video is for you. I'm going to explain you why this year is the best year to go freelance. Stay tuned. Bye bye.